Are you looking to level up your author business?
Are you pounding your head against a wall, wondering what your next step should be? Then join me, Daniel Wilcox.
And me, Sacha Black, as we haul ass each week in a bid to level up.
Level up!
Come along for the ride as we delve deep into the business of writing,
Craft,
entrepreneurship,
and every level of the author journey. This is the Next Level Author Podcast.
Hello, Achievers, and welcome to episode 108 of the Next Level Authors Podcast, a podcast where we hold each other to account and track our step-by-step progress as we level up our author business. My name is Daniel Wilcox, and here with me every single week is
Sacha motherfucking Black.
Sacha motherfucking Black. It feels really bittersweet saying that intro now.
I know.
So for people who haven't listened to the last episode, or maybe this is your first episode, I'm really sorry to tell you that this is the final episode of Next Level Authors. So what will usually be our format will kind of forego. And I say usual format, but we tend to change it and fuck it up every week anyway. So it's not like we're kind of changing anything too rigid. But how's your week been, Sacha?
It's been a weird week, Dan.
Weird week!
Yeah! I mean, I had to say it. It has been a little bit of a weird week, I think, because I've been in a post-COVID fog. I'm fully, there's obviously no cold symptoms left, except I did wake up with a banging headache today.
I did this morning.
But I am left with quite significant levels of exhaustion. Now, I would say that they are easing already. I tend to have two really tired periods. It's taken me a really long time to get going in the morning, much longer than it would normally. And I already take a long time to get going in the morning. And then I tend to get very tired at the end of my working day, much more tired than I am usually. So, but you know, that is an improvement even on 2 or 3 days ago. So I am getting there. And then it's been weird because I've been working really hard to clear the decks so that I can just write and work on the stuff that's important. And I'm kind of getting there. And it's meant that I have powered through a book that I'm working on. And I'm finally just doing the work, doing the important stuff. And I feel really good. And I've stopped going to a lot of sprint groups. I've stopped doing a lot of things. And I am finding that mentally I'm a little bit, I don't know, I'm having less contact with people. I already don't have much contact with people. And that is a problem for one reason, but also I'm getting more work done. So that is obviously a benefit on the other side. So I don't know, it's been interesting. I have really enjoyed getting words on the page. I've enjoyed mixing up how I'm working. I've enjoyed, I'm basically using Alana Johnson's method. So I got to interview her this week.
Nice. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And funnily enough, the day that I interviewed her, I had worked on nonfiction in the morning and I'd kind of tapped out at that point. I tapped out, but I wasn't tapped out energy wise. I just tapped out all of the thoughts that I had on that book at that point, which was about 2,600 words, something like that. And then I was like, oh, I've still got more in me. So I just flipped to a different project and doubled my word count. And I was like, whoa. And I don't know that I can always do that, but I mentioned this to her and she talked about how she had a primary project. So that would always be her first project. And if she could keep going in a day, she would keep going on that project. But if she hit the wall, then she would flip to a secondary project, which wasn't on deadline. And I was like, that is genius. That is a really good way of looking at it. So yeah, I think that I'm probably going to trial that. The other interesting thing is that she said her systems only work for about 4 months and then there'll be some life change that will shift things and she'll have to experiment again.
Her.
Yeah,
I feel that.
So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So I feel like that might work for me right now, might not work for me come the summer, but I think maybe for this quarter, that's what I'm going to try and do. So
I love that.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Weird. No, it has been. It's been a good week. But I definitely echo that what Elena says about how things will change over however few months. And I think I was featured on This Is Horror podcast this week. I spoke to the guys a couple of weeks ago. And even within that, I'm really fixated at the minute on this principle of seasonality, because I think in my head, there's always that thing in the back of my head jumping back to say 2016, 2017, when I was like flat out, and the amount of stuff I did. And if you could define what I thought productivity was, that was it. Like there wasn't a spare second in the day where I wasn't doing something. And there's always that thing in the back of my head that is going, well, why can't you do that now? Why can't you feel that now? And the truth is, life is very different now, and my work is very different now, and my priorities are very different now. And so finding whatever it is that works for me at this point is kind of more of my priority. And as long as I'm getting stuff done, that's my measure of success. So
I am a seasonal writer because of my life situation, not necessarily because of that I'm naturally that, but like, for example, I barely write anything in the summer.
Yeah, which is interesting because I'm in the process of getting Jonathan Jans back on my podcast, who for people who follow Great Writer Share, he's a very, very like inspiring horror author he's a full-time teacher. So he does all of his writing in summer. Like he does his ideas, he like jots things down, but he focuses on teaching. And then when it comes to summer, he is just writing flat out for, it's America. So it's like 10, 12 weeks. So that's when he gets his 2-3 books done. And it's,
wow.
Yeah. And I kind of love just seeing other people's ways of working. But yeah, my week, I think what I'm learning is the possibilities of what I'm capable of when I don't have a ghostwriting deadline looming. I mean, I do at the minute, but I think I mentioned this last week, in having handed in my notice, there's this sort of unleashing of creative energy. So I have read a lot of horror over the last couple of weeks, like a lot of horror books that I am very much enjoying. I have started, I've made a list. I've stolen Empire Online's list of the top 50 horror films of all time, because whenever I get into conversations with horror authors, I'm much more of a horror reader than a horror movie buff. But what I really am interested in is understanding more of the horror culture. So I sat down and I watched Hereditary this week. I watched Jaws, that was in the top 50. I've now got sort of queued up to watch all your Screams, your Halloweens, your Nightmare.
Have you not seen them?
Nope.
What?
No, exactly. I've seen Scream 4. I know. The thing is, I know what they're about, but I've never seen them.
So this is interesting. As a teenager, I would only watch horror. I now refuse to watch horror, which I think is hilarious. But Scream and like Halloween, all of that shit was like staple movie watching for me as a teen. I take it you've seen The Exorcist.
No.
Shut the fuck up.
My teenage horror films were Poltergeist, The Shining, and the Saw franchise.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's because you're a child, that's why. Yeah, Saw was just after me. I haven't seen Poltergeist. And what was the other one?
Poltergeist is an old film.
Oh, The Shining.
That should definitely be in your wheelhouse.
I've seen bits of The Shining. I haven't seen
the bit of The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like I definitely feel this sense of direction. I've put down 5,000 words on the new horror novella, which is insanely purple, but I am enjoying writing it. I've gone through and redesigned my entire personal website, because obviously with Activated Authors now, like I am still trying to get some kind of division between my fiction and my non-fiction. And one thing that I'm really, really conscious of being is if I'm coaching other authors, is being a working author as well. I know I've said that before. I don't want to be the author or the coach that doesn't produce and focuses too much on the coaching, that I then lose touch with the publishing and everything else. So I'm trying to be more specific and more key on that. But yeah, it's been a week where I have found myself in the evenings going, I should probably rest, and then realizing that I'm really enjoying redesigning a website and being like, well, what's wrong with this? Like, why force myself away from something I'm enjoying? Like it's kind of, and I'm sure you'll understand this, sometimes the blur of like what work and what pleasure is difficult, because we know in our heads we should step away because it's like you shouldn't work all day. But at the same time, like, is this work? Because I'm just enjoying designing something.
Yes. Oh, it's such a hard conflict to go through. I understand that on an intimate level.
Well, even sitting back and watching a horror film in the evening, you could class that as work, because it's research. Like, I'm doing it to educate myself on my genre.
Exactly. Every book I read that is in the genre I want to write is technically working, because my my brain is deconstructing.
Yeah.
But also it gives me loads of energy pennies. So like it becomes that when you're like, when you create a, words are so hard right now for me, like when you create
Just try not to cry.
A business that is your life. Do you know what I mean? Like our
Yes.
business is our life. It's not just a job that we go to.
Well, I came across someone speaking on a podcast, and it's like, when does it stop being a job and when does it start becoming an obsession? And also, when there's obsession,
I like obsessions. I don't think
this
there's
is it,
anything
like,
wrong with obsession.
well, no, some people see obsession as very, very negative connotations, but
Yeah,
on the other
some
hand,
people
like,
are wrong.
yeah, and on the other hand, it's like the people that tend to excel in what they do are obsessed with what they do.
Exactly, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you read Be Obsessed or Be Average?
No, but that sounds right up my alley.
So
like
he
everything's fine.
He will wind you up, but I do think that there is some, like, he has the ego the size of a planet. I'm just going to get the name of it. Hang on one second. It's Grant Cardone. I haven't finished it. I'm like partway through. In fact, I'm partway through 3 audiobooks. I don't normally do that, but
I haven't listened to an audiobook in ages.
Oh my god, I listen to probably, yeah, well, I do that as well. Yeah, I listen to probably 2 or 3 a month, I reckon, audiobooks.
Yeah. What's something you've enjoyed this week?
Well, the last NLA Q&A.
Oh, that was one of mine.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh Dan, what are we doing? Okay, so definitely that. I would say John Wick 2, the movie, and also Gunpowder Milkshake, which was another movie about librarians who are also assassins, and it's a Sky original. It was brilliant, and it's got Cersei Lannister in it. I can't remember her real name, but anyway, it's got her in it. No, that's her. That, I don't know what her real name is. Anyway, it's got her in it, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was like Kill Bill meets Lara Croft meets Assassin's Creed.
Wow.
Yeah. And anyway, so I really enjoyed that. Yeah, really enjoyed John Wick 2. I really like John Wick. It is just brilliant. Like, I shouldn't like it. It's one of those films that I'm like, I really shouldn't enjoy this, but it's so good. So I can't, like, we're gonna rent the 3rd one, I think, possibly this weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, so
what was that show that you recommended to me a while back that I remember the first episode? It's like a woman who has like something inside her, and then she goes to like a nunnery, and then it's all like, that's for people listening on the podcast, that's my sound effect for kung fu.
I know it. It's on Netflix, and it's got a girl who's slightly tanned on it. Yeah, you talk and I'll find it. Okay. You tell me what you've enjoyed.
Yeah, so I've got a few things. Number one, obviously, the last night's Patreon live. It was really, we had a really good turnout for that, and it was really nice to see some old faces we've not seen in a while. I drank a couple of ciders that I didn't realize were kitted out with elephant tranquilizers. They were like double they were double as alcoholic as I thought they were, so that got to my head very, very quickly, which was fun. But yeah, just having all the support from everyone on the Patreon. Go on, what is it?
Warrior Nun.
There we go.
Yeah,
as in warrior, not as in warrior.
Yeah.
Oh no. But yeah, it was just really nice to see all the old faces come out.
They're not old, don't insult them.
Well, I'm quite young. We've established this. And yeah, just kind of having that chat, answering questions, and just sort of sharing the end with the people. And then the other
Stop
two
saying the end.
Yeah. I said to Sacha at the start of this, if we don't like read the intro, if we don't read the outro, this podcast never ends. Like, we could just literally leave it on silence for eternity. Just have it as like a rolling live stream of just quiet, and every now and then just you go. The other two things I've enjoyed. One of them is well, so one of them fiction, one of them is non-fiction. The non-fiction I'm still in the process of reading, but so far I'm really enjoying it. It's The Psychology of Money by Morgan Hounsel, which in my research on sort of money mindset and finance, that has been sort of the consistent book that keeps popping up. So I grabbed a copy of it, and I'm only sort of a couple of chapters in, but it is fantastic, and it suits me down to the ground, because it's not about facts and figures. It's about psychology of money and behavior and how people view money, how people use money, and how, just a lot of that stuff. So I'm really enjoying that. And then I finished reading a book by Clive Barker, which the Hellraiser films were originally based on, The Hellbound Heart, and that was a great, gripping, fantastic read. And it kind of reminds me that is the type of prose that I want to be writing. Not as purple as Ray Bradbury, but definitely sort of around the Clive Barker mark. And I know that's a big thing to say, but that is truly the prose that I enjoy. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get to with my own writing.
Love it.
Level ups.
Yeah. Okay, so Renee says, writing 5 days a week, and that was unheard of for me. I listen to Productivity for Writers anywhere I can find it on a loop every day. This has made the difference for me.
Love it. Oh, perfect. Straight into comments, isn't it?
Okay, so comments from last week. Karen said, Sacha, I loved your historical fiction rant, but in true rebel fashion, you now make me want to prove that there is historical fiction that you would enjoy. That is fast-paced, contemporary language, and not overly wordy. When you've recovered from your current reads and COVID, please let me send you a book. And then Shane Miller said, I hate it, fucking hate it. I needed that. And he's obviously quoted me. As to the question, you're holding yourself back when everything is telling you to do something because it will benefit your business and personal life, but you're scared to take the leap. So take the leap. And then CJ said, I write historical fiction with paranormal twists, but I laughed out loud at Sacha. I know I'm holding myself back when my ruminating becomes a spiral. And then we've got quite a few comments, obviously, about the fact that the show is ending. So CJ says, also gutted by the news, guys, but I get it, but I'm gutted. Put that in a song, someone, please. An NLA relationship ending song from the album Weird Week. And then we've got some more comments on Patreon. So Janelle said, the end of an era. Love that you're role modeling when to change things up and say no. Thank you both for your generosity, swearing, and support. I'm going to miss NLA. Congratulations, Dan and Sacha. HB said, thank you for all of the content and encouragement and the challenges. You guys rock. Cassie said, thank you both. It's been lovely to grow with you and get to know you, both of you. Your unwavering support and fun have been a constant light for me on Sundays watching these podcasts. I can't wait to watch and see how you both continue to level up. One of your many supporters, although the sassiest. Eden said, I just want to say I think you're both awesome. I listen / watch each episode when they come out and have thoroughly enjoyed watching your journeys. And while I'm sad that the podcast is coming to an end, I know that it'll give you room and time to create even more amazing things. Rianne said, it's been a fun 2 years. I'm sad the podcast is coming to an end, but I can't wait to see what else you get to work on. Thank you for the content, encouragement, and advice you've given. We'll miss NLA, but here's to bigger and better things. Wishing you both the best for all the future endeavors. 2 more. Ara said, thank you both so much for an amazing couple of years. Your podcast has been the best start to my Sunday mornings, and the Q&As both informative and a massive bag of laughs. You're both amazing role models, and saying no to things is a lesson we all need to learn. So awesome / rebellious. And finally, Brett said, thanks for all the advice, the giggles, and all of the caffeinated clusterfuckery. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Oh man.
So I have an announcement. I'm starting a new podcast. It's called the Level Up Podcast. It's by myself. I'm going solo. I'm gonna Justin Timberlake this shit.
Love it.
Hell's no. Wouldn't dream of it. Man, okay. So I guess we dive into the final questions. Plural. So we started this podcast 2 years ago, around April time. So we're kind of literally just past the official 2-year mark. And we were very, very different people back then in many ways. A lot of what we do is still the same at the core, but obviously a lot has changed.
What year did we start?
2020, mate. Yeah, hindsight is 2020.
This was just before the end of our first year.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I went back yesterday and listened to the first episode, and so much of it is talking about, balancing our client work and, building businesses and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of gave you a bit of forewarning on this question because it just helps to, which I say that and then I've lost, I know where the notes are. So the first question is, oh my God, this is just totally symbolic of this entire show. There we go. How has this show helped to shape your author business?
I think it has helped to give me the clarity or the time and headspace to think about things that are important, and therefore that has helped me know what I do and don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that is probably, I don't know how many questions are there, and
there's two main ones, but we can talk around them, and also if my dog suddenly explodes in barking, I've just heard it, that's just seen her ears prick up. Okay. But so we can dig in, we can go around it.
I think the headspace is the thing that's been really important. And I kind of said that's the thing that I am the most worried about losing, because I'm not very good at giving myself headspace. I might get that impression from you. It is the thing that I don't do very often, but it is also the thing that usually gives me the most clarity. I often don't know what I think until I've written it down. But I'm also not really a journaler. I did journal for a long time until I went to university, and then I stopped at university. But I don't feel like journaling is a thing that I need now. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's probably. It's also, and we said this last night, it has also taught me that despite what I say, I can collaborate. Not very well, but I can do it.
Yeah.
So that is also something that it's taught me. And that is,
I'm going to nick that as a blurb for my book. That's my testimonial. I got Sacha Black to collaborate with the principals in this book.
So I think that's probably a couple of the main things. How about you?
Yeah, I think, it's very much along the same vein. It's a check-in, it's reflection, it's giving, I think one of the things that we did quite well is because we knew what we were up to at each time, it meant that we could ask very, very specific targeted questions that sort of challenged what we were doing or helped to make us sort of think a bit more deeply about where we were going. And that has been helpful. And in those moments where the question's asked and then we basically say oh, you fucker, that's always been a good thing. Because it has meant that thing that you tried not to formalize or think about too much needs attention, not just for yourself, but obviously, for listeners, because we've tried to be as transparent as possible with this journey.
I think we always used to be bastards to each other, so that when we say you fucker, it's usually because the other person knows what's going on and so has asked a targeted question.
But that's definitely that's helpful. And as I say, even though there are certain things that happen on the podcast in terms of the thing and other secrets that have been kept, they've never been kept from a point of us not wanting to tell the audience. They've always been held back from a point of we literally can't tell you this at this point because it would be it wouldn't be beneficial to the situation or whatever's going on, or we just legally can't. But yeah, it's reflection is a big part of that. And I think as well, just the timing of it. So not only are we very, very similar in terms of how long we've been full-time authors, we met at a point in which you were starting a podcast. I had podcasts. I was looking into, I wasn't looking, I had the idea of nonfiction. You were do nonfiction. And, there were sort of things that we could share each way. And just going on that journey with another author and seeing what they're doing, and then being able to look at your business and say, I love what you do there, but I wouldn't do that stuff, and vice versa. And knowing who we are independently, but still able to work together and talk has been just an invaluable experience. And then as well, just the weekly check-ins, especially during COVID, because they really were the bookmarks, the sort of stop points that reminded me that a week had passed. And I said that on last night's Patreon live, but especially during the pandemic, I think that was fundamental in just a lot of mental health and sort of like headspace around that period. So yeah, and I think so the next question, has your definition of success changed since the first episode? And if you want, I can reread what your definition of success was.
I've got them up here. So
Perfect.
My definition was earn 6 figures from the business, surpass my income from my old day job, work for yourself and don't do any client work, and have a future pot for pensions and savings. So I think the 6 figures is now 7.
Good.
At least. And then surpass my income from my old day job. That's done and checked off, which is amazing. Yeah, not only did I surpass it by like 10%, I think. 10.
Love that.
Something like that. I smashed through it essentially.
Love that. Congratulations.
Yeah, last year I had a 35% increase in turnover and a 30% net profit increase.
Damn.
So, yeah, it was a big year. It was a big year. And the thing is, like, the impact of ticking that off isn't really the achievement. What the benefit for me is the self-belief it's restored in me. Because when I quit my day job, I was like, I don't know, what if I can never beat my income? What if I can never earn enough? What if I never go past that old figure? And I think, even though like part of me knew that I just had to hold on long enough. Also, a part of me really genuinely wasn't sure, because you're in uncharted waters, right? You just don't know. You've never run a business like this before. So how do you know? You can't know. And so in doing that and surpassing it, now I'm like, oh,
what else am I capable of?
Right. Now there's no ceiling. Now there's no boundary. There's nothing but success in front of me, right? And now I'm hungry, because now I've got something to prove. Like, I'm like, okay, I proved that I could beat my old day job income. Now I'm going to crush everyone. No, I'm not.
Jesus, the birth of the supervillain.
Yeah, no, I'm playing up to the villain thing. Yeah, so like that has been so healing for me. I can't even begin to explain. So that's good. The working for myself, no client work. Yeah, that's, I don't think that's long away. But also I really enjoy the client work that I do. So it's really hard to get rid of it when you do actually quite enjoy it. And then the future pot for pension and savings. Yeah, I was talking to my accountant last month, whenever it was, and sort of figured out a way of doing that, or 2 ways. I've just kind of got to decide which one I want to go with. So has my definition of success changed? I think it's got bigger. And I think that's because I now know what I'm capable of, or I know that I'm capable of surpassing everything I thought I was capable of. So therefore, what am I capable of now? So yeah, I definitely think that like there will always be a monetary goal. I need to beat my dad's income. And he earns a lot. So I need to beat that. Yeah, I do think working for myself. Funnily enough, there is in true non-transparent transparency style, there are things appearing that are not to do with writing that I want. And businesses that I think I will venture into, and yeah, like I want a big life. I want to have a big impact. I want to help a lot of people. So yeah, I don't know, like it's the same and it's not the same. I think the other thing that I would add into that is that I want a period in my life where I am nomadic. And that is something that I have always wanted, and I missed it between college and university, because I did the international baccalaureate, and they sent off the wrong grades, so I didn't get the places, and then they missed out modules, so I nearly failed. And so I didn't get into the universities that I wanted, so I had to fight and go through clearing. And then I was the last year on the £1,000 fees, so I was like, if I don't go now, I'm going to end up paying a buttload of money to go to university. So I went then, and then, you know, life happens and you roll, and so I never got to do it after university. So yeah, when I think the kiddo goes to university, I probably am going to be nomadic, I think, for a little while. There is a lot of travel that I want to do, and I definitely think that travel needs to be a part of what success is to me. Like when I am financially able to do all of the trips that I want to do. Like this past weekend, I went to Trail Finders to price up a particular trip, and I was just like it's just out of my, I just can't quite afford it. And like almost, but not quite. So yeah, I think when I am able to drop everything and go on the trips that I want to go on, whenever I want to go on them, that will be a marker of success for me. Yeah, I think. And then I mean, there's the big things, and then there's lots of little things as well, you know, but they're like the little flags that, you know, so yeah.
I think similarly for me, I feel like a big sense of optimism around stuff that's happening. Like that first year, as we've kind of said many times, it's survival, and not really like in a negative way. I think you say survival when you think of people sort of like scratching for pennies and really struggling like that. That wasn't the thing, but there is a constant need and drive to prove to yourself and everyone around you like that this is doable. And it's hard because it's the beginning stages, and you know, birth isn't meant to be clean.
Did everyone like keep checking in on you? Like, are you okay? I mean, like, are you okay financially? Do you need anything? Like, do you need
really? I live miles from people, so they kind of don't disturb me all that much, which is quite nice. But yeah, like so interestingly, I have recently put together like a big vision board, because what I've realized was I was doing one every year, and like one or two things were changing, and I was spending money getting these printed where like one or two things was changing, and I wanted to like, rather than look at the next year, I want to look at like the big things that I want in life, because I feel, partly because of this podcast, partly because of just the journey that I'm on, like I have a very strong sense of direction now. Like, so like just mentally so much has changed. And I went back and I found my old vision board from 2020. Get a house, get a dog, earn over $2,500 a month. Done. Like smashing that. What were some of the other things on there? Win a Bram Stoker. Haven't done that yet. But like I basically went through and was like, all but two of these I've done. And I hadn't given myself that reflection to acknowledge that, you know, they can just be scribbled out and ticked off. And now I've kind of created a new vision board, which is like the big visions of like some of the big things that I want to achieve.
I still remember that conversation with you when you were in my house and we were doing a strategy day, and you were like, wait, you know what you want in like 10 years time, and you were like, you have goals at the end of like the goals, and I was like, well like don't you? And you were like, no, and I was like, I don't understand.
No, and I think again, sort of if we go into reflection and like get a bit personal for a second, like my last few years have been very, very turbulent. I haven't been in the position where I have really known what comes next, because of, you know, relationship stuff, because of moving, because of finance, because of like this kind of like job and just switching around and things. Like it has been a very turbulent few years, and I'm now in a position where, you know, I'm much more stable in this house. I've got like a life that I'm building, and that definitely gives a chance to go, okay, I can breathe and not worry about that. So what is next? And so yeah, I've got like there are things that have always sort of been in the back of my head that I've wanted to do, and as time goes on, I realize like now more than ever how much I want those things. So yeah, that was just, it was, for me, that was a really interesting exercise to be able to go by and be like, done, and tick those off. And like you say, with money, I definitely had a ceiling that I couldn't really define. And I think one of the best things I've done for myself in the last year and a half, 2 years, is look at ways to take what I love and build it into a system that can scale. Like everything that I'm building, everything that I put out at the minute is built and designed in a way in which it's centered around the idea of scaling. So when I originally put out Great Writers Show, it was very much like, I just want to put out a podcast. I just want to speak to other authors. There was no real thought about how widely that would go or what I could do with that. Whereas everything I do now, as well as it being, passionate and something I want to do, is, okay, where does this fit in? And how are other people doing that? And is there a way that I can do this to minimize all the extra admin, all the extra sort of like things that I'd have to be involved in? And how can I outsource that and find ways for me to remove myself, but for it to still to grow? Which has really been sort of like a big mindset shift. And then also, I realize I'm not even answering the question at this point, but one of the big things that I'll say for myself, and I'm pretty sure that, it might be similar for you as well, is working with a coach has transformed. And like, the really interesting thing is, I've only been working with Robin for about 6 weeks, 2 months, maybe. Not like together, like either 6 or 8 weeks, doesn't matter. And I've got so much to go yet, and they've only been sort of like small interactions here and there, but just it's flipped a switch. And I think seeing lots of people in that community doing the thing, and this is one thing I'll say to everyone listening to this podcast, like, if you want success in a particular thing, there is a blueprint, there is a path ahead. Like, it contains work, it contains things that you do have to do to make that happen, but there is a way to be successful in the thing that you love. And just, if you can find that, if you can believe in it, and if you're willing to do the work, and sometimes the work sucks and sometimes it's amazing, you will find your way to that success. And yeah, I just preach that infinitely. But so bringing it around, my definition of success, number one was sustainability, enough income, enough product, enough reader base. What I've done is defined to myself now what enough means. And that's kind of just building a base. Once I get to that point, like, I want to grow. One of my real blocks with mindset was, I'm not fueled by money. And one thing that conversations with you, conversations with coaches has kind of helped me reframe is, but you want to help people. So the more money you have, the more people you can help. And so rather than focus on the individual bottom line money, focus on the impact having that money can have. Because there's a lot of, and we won't obviously go into it, we can do it in the next episode. There's a lot to be said about limiting beliefs and sort of the story of what you've learned from money from growing up.
Yeah, there's a reason why I want the money that I want.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's not just to
Mercedes,
buy stuff. Yeah. But it's not. Right.
Yeah.
The reason I want the money is because I want to know that I can look after my mum when she gets old, and that she doesn't have to go in a home. And that's fucking expensive.
Yeah.
I'm watching my step grandma have care, 24-hour a day care, and it is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
And I want to know that I have enough of a pension to look after me, so that my kid doesn't have to look after me when I get old. That needs a lot of money. And then I want to leave a legacy for him. Like, so there are and of course, having more money frees up more time, my time, so that I can create more that helps other people. So like, yeah, having more money is good. Money is great.
Yeah.
Money is just energy anyway. It's just, it's just a thing that comes in, it comes out, it flows.
It's an enabler, it's a catalyst. Yeah, I the last Easter half term that I had with the boy, I went out and did a bunch of things that for the first time in ages, they were like financially guilt-free, because there wasn't like a bill waiting, or there wasn't something else. Like, it was nice just to be able to go, yeah, we can like throw 10 quid on like ice creams and stuff, like fuck it, like, or just go to the aquarium and not worry about it. Like, it was a really good feeling.
You worry about money?
Yes. Not like on a scale of 1 to 10, probably about a 2 or 3, but there's always that low level, like, make sure that, bills are being paid as you should. But I haven't yet built to the point where I'm comfortable with, what's the word?
This is so interesting, because I think this is another thing I've really enjoyed. I've been listening to Simon Hurry, who talks about strengths in a different way than Becca Syme. And he was talking about self-assurance. I listened to the self-assurance podcast, and there is something inside me that just knows. And yeah, like, I don't know, I used to worry about money all of the time. Like, it used to be a constant stress. I'd be like, how are we going to pay our bills? And it's not that I earn so much that, I could, if my car completely broke and died, I would struggle, right? but also I know that I would find a way.
Yeah. Well, that's
get
where
a
I'm
new
getting to
car.
now, I think.
Yeah.
Like
there's a knowing, if you spend a bit of money, well, something else is going to come in.
yeah,
I just know.
That's definitely where I'm getting to. And then one of my other definitions was being in a position to write what I want, when I want to, for who I want to. I am well on that path. Obviously, like in August is my final ghostwriting deadline. And I've recently started writing a book that is literally just for me. I don't think there's a lot of commercial value to it, but I'm just really enjoying the process. And as I grow Activated Authors, and as I kind of, inflate that raft that keeps me afloat, there's definitely like a lot of plans just to write the things that I want to write. Like I've got an idea for a commercial series, but at the same time, like I think I'm going to be punctuating that with just novellas that are just mine to write, that I put out and just steadily release to my audience. So getting there. And the final one, build a stable foundation. Again, that's well on its way. It takes time, man. I think really the seed of, and I mentioned this a couple of times on the show, but the seed of that was February 2021, writing everything that I did on the whiteboard. I'm pretty sure, did I send you that sort of map of all the things I was doing? And then I was just like crossing things out and going, nope, you don't have time for this. Nope, this. Like, what are the important things and how are they actually going to help push you forward?
Yeah, I think you had to send 2 WhatsApp images because it wouldn't fit in one. Genuinely.
There's still so much on there I want to do, but I think it really was that reality of I'd hit a saturation point of like, I'm trying to do so much that nothing is happening.
Yeah.
And that's not the case now. Like I've minimized so much, but I'm getting more done because it's focused.
Yep. You and me both, baby. You and me both.
The other question that we asked was, what is your biggest achievement to date? Has that changed at all?
Yeah, I don't know why I wrote that. Like, I do know why I wrote that. So I wrote the act of writing the lessons that I was learning down because that led to nonfiction, right? Which is my business. I definitely think beating my old day job income, like, it has been my biggest achievement. Not just beating it, like fucking smashing my way through it like a bull in a china shop, the juggernaut that I am. And long may that continue. I think that definitely, like, yeah, it has to be because of the psychological impact it has had on me. Like, I am now going for it, right? And that is, I have not been in that psychological mindset for a long time. And like I reflect on this and a bit more in the podcast that I do, my annual review podcast, which I really think you should do that on Activated Authors because they're so useful. But yeah, so this is my 3rd one, and I like went back and read the ones and read and listened to the ones from 2 years and 1 year. And I just cannot wait to see where I am in a year's time. Like, I'm excited to see where I am.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's just the comment you made about the ceiling is just hit me, because when I put on that vision boards in 2020, like earn £2.5 a month, like that felt huge, and it doesn't anymore.
Yeah. Like, I hit a massive milestone financially in January, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't think I'd ever had that much money in my account, let alone in one go. Like, and I was just like, if I can do this, what else can I do? What is that new ceiling? Like,
so much of it is mindset, so much of it. My biggest achievement to date was having worked on self-development and building my mindset over the years that I was writing, because I still kind of I still do say that is some of the biggest things I've done, because I 100% would not be where I am without having done that, because the mindset then, it wasn't even just in the writing, it was in personal life as well, and helping me get to just where I am headwise today. And it's one of those things that I sometimes take for granted now, because I've been doing it for so long that, like, I had a coach, a call with the coaching community that I'm a part of. And one of the questions I asked, people were sort of giving the very sort of base advice on like mindset things. And I'm sat there going like, like this is useful, but at the same time, like I know this was like some of the first stuff I learned. Like I wanted sort of like a deeper conversation about it, and it just wasn't there at that point. But self-development is massive. There's a reason that outside of writing stuff, I listen to mindset and development and psychology and finance and business and all that kind of stuff, because if you
both.
Yeah, it's not like building a business isn't about the business. It's about you as a person, what you're capable of, what you can build, and also how you can serve the people you're trying to build. So, at the end of the day, and I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I think there might potentially be a book in there from me at some point. And I'll give it out on here as a spoiler, as a treat for the last episode. But my current formula for life, if you can understand these three things in various ways, then you'll be happy, is people, money, attention being synonymous with time. Like if you can understand people are in everything that you do. Like whether you're walking down the street, whether you're in a shop, whether you're working with people, if you can understand people, that gives you a head start. If you can get your head around money and how it works, because obviously, although money isn't everything, we still need money to operate in the world that we live in. And then attention, or as I say, synonymous with time, like you need to know what you're doing with your time and also where you're focusing your time, because every decision that you make to do a thing is making a decision to not do a million other things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my head's at on that a lot. So yeah, just development is still one of my biggest achievements. I think adding to that as something a bit more tangible, buying this house is probably one of my biggest achievements, mostly because I promised myself that I would do it in a year. I moved away from my son in order to do that, but still like worked my arse off to make sure that I was connected and that I saw him on the regular, which was a lot of driving. And as I say, I'm now stable in a house for the first time in however many years. I moved when I was 16. I lived in that house for 2 years. I was in a different house each year for uni for 4 years. And I was in another house for 1.5 years. And then I was in one house for 6 years, but there's a lot into that I won't get into. And then I've moved into like 3 different houses in the last 3 years. And now I'm at a point where I can be like, oh, I'm fine here. I can stop. And that lack of having to worry about anything move wise is now letting me think of other things and free up a lot of headspace. So yeah, that and actually doing the thing that I said I was going to do. Very, very happy with that. So final question, I guess, as part of this to wrap it up. What's next, Sacha?
So I'm finishing a non-fiction book called The Anatomy of a Bestseller. And I hope that will be done by the end of next week, maybe. I don't know. I mean, my aim is to have it done at the end of next week, but it sort of depends how much hunting for examples I have to do. And then I will be working on some fiction. I am about partway through a course on enemies to lovers, the trope. I will be doing another non-fiction book this year. I will be doing more fiction this year. And I think you will start to see the rate of my production increase.
You think?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I want to be realistic, because let's be honest, I've had COVID, the kids had COVID twice, I dislocated my kneecap, my wife's had COVID, we've had a lot of things go on this year so far. So you never say never. I'm me and the
weird
universe.
year.
Yeah, weird year, exactly. So I'm just being nice and calm and whispering in the corner, hoping that, and giving the universe some side eye to make sure nothing's going to come and side slam me anymore. But yeah, I think because I am cutting out so many things that I think the production will increase. I'm really visioning. Yeah. Anyway, I am narrowing my vision. I am focusing on what needs to get done, and I think good things are coming. Yeah. I don't want to say any of that other stuff that I'm not ready to say.
What about the thing?
Yeah, that's the stuff I can't talk about.
Oh, but the thing. Come on, it's the final episode.
What's coming for you?
So my focus really is on, because it shifted, and we know this. So when we first started this podcast, I was all fiction. everything fiction, everything fiction, everything fiction. And I still love the fiction. I still want to write the fiction, but my view on fiction, for multiple reasons, not the least because my fingers have been consistently painful for a year and a half now, has slowed my rate of production. But what really is next for me is I'm going to build Activated Authors to be a force to be reckoned with. It's in a space that I think is still quite niche within the author community. I have a lot of plans to build resources within that to make that sort of synergize with the non-fiction books that I'm writing, and really just funneling value into the membership that people have as part of Activated Authors. Growing my coaching in a way that aligns with the kind of work that I want to do. And helping authors is a massive part of that. And then like just working on my craft and just getting back into the habit of writing a little each day, and again working on the projects that I want to work on, because I found that in just deciding, and we've covered this a lot of times but it's easy to forget, but just in deciding to start writing this book the last couple of days, it's just been flowing from my fingers, and everything else has shifted out of the way as I write this story that, like, for me needs to be written on a number of different levels. But yeah, like sticking with the author space, serving the authors in the author space, growing Activated Authors, and really trying to carve a niche within the sort of author life / mindset side of being an author. Because I mean, the community over there, like everyone involved fits in such a weird way that it's kind of beautiful. And like, it's, if there's anything I've taken away from going into the non-fiction space, it really has been actually having the support of this community behind me, and knowing that I'm helping them as well. So yeah, just a lot more of that. I will say, and this isn't like a full promise, but I know I tend to start podcasts in the absence of podcasts, but I do think that I'm good with the podcast that I have for now. We'll see what happens on the horizon, but like managing the Activated Authors podcast now is sort of enough to tickle that itch for me.
Yeah, I may start another podcast, but I don't, not anytime soon is that going to happen.
I've learned to think before I act.
24-hour hold, everyone. 24-hour hold. Yeah. I mean, the thing is though, that the podcast that I'm talking about has been in the works for a while. I've had the website and the logo and the format for some time. I just haven't executed because I hadn't committed to that path. And also I just don't know. I just don't know, because there are other things that I want outside that this other place that I just anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, with that, we should probably ask the final question of the audience, which I think should be along the lines of what has been your highlight for the Next Level Authors podcast. What's been your favorite moment? And I guess there's nothing left to say that Sacha Black, we leveled up.
Man. Oh, we did. We leveled up, baby.
Hard.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, one last time from me. Bye-bye, everyone. Best of luck.
Bye.
Hungry for more?
If you enjoyed this podcast, you can hear more of my angelic accent and Dan's dulcet tones on our other podcasts.
For more of me, check out the Activated Authors podcast.
For more of me, listen to the Rebel Author podcast. We'll be back next week holding each other to account as Dan
and Sacha
become
Next Level
authors.
What are you doing? You hiding? Yeah, I'm talking to you.
It looks like you're talking to your penis.
Yeah, I'm talking to you. You hairy little goofball. Hello.
Oh, I'm going to miss this so much.